I want to talk about planning for the future. Are you planning for the future? I know I am, and you should be too. Everybody should plan for the future. Especially if you're an affordable housing manager, you should strive to have your own rental property. You should strive to work for a major affordable housing property management company, most likely be housed, make good money, and on the side have your own affordable housing complex that you have hired your own manager to run. It's a big cycle, and you need to be part of that cycle. You need to be part of that big cash wheel, and I'm going to show you how. Okay? I've always wanted, growing up, a little bit about me. Growing up, my parents, they've always had tenants, you know. My mom, she's always needed that extra income for tenants, and she was smart too. You know, she's had an extra room and she rented it out, and my dad too. So they've always done this growing up, and growing up I've always seen it. I've always seen that specific thing where, oh, you have an extra room, someone can live there, they give you money per month. Simple, right? And for me it's simple because I've seen it growing up. I grew up around this, okay? For other people who've never grown up around this, they might not understand it, okay? And that's also one of the key things that you learn in being an affordable housing manager is just because you understand something doesn't mean everybody else will understand it, okay? Sometimes people just need to be explained something one time or a couple of times. Like I said, they might not understand it. So, you know, growing up, you know, I saw that, and now that I became an affordable housing manager, I wanted that for myself too. I wanted to have my own, so I tried really hard. I tried really hard to find something that I can afford, that I can rent out. And it took a few years. It did. It took a few years, and there were some setbacks, and I felt a few times where I wasn't going to be able to pull it off. I won't be able to afford something like this. How could I ever afford something like this? And a lot of people are asking themselves that, how could I afford something like this? Well, guess what? You can, okay? You can, because I told myself that I could not, and then I did, okay? So telling yourself you can't afford it and losing hope is just part of the process, okay? The greatest thing lies not in falling, but rising every time we fall, and that is Nelson Mandela. So I purchased my first rental property, and then I rented it out, okay? I had the same problems that I have at work, okay? I had my first tenant, he was a good tenant, but he was abusive. Picture that, an abusive tenant. I had a tenant who's a freaking hardworking professional, college degree, makes good money. He's renting a room and he's freaking abusive to his own landlord. Does that make sense? What does that tell you about people and about society as well? Okay? Am I going to start fighting with him and cussing at him and being abusive back to him? No, because I have the training. I have the experience. I know how to deal with things like that. Okay? That was the first tenant that I had. Had another tenant that was also pretty bad. Sometimes what people do is they'll move in, they'll sign a lease, and then they'll bring all 20 other people who are living with them too, all their friends, all the people they get high with, all these other burnouts that have no other place to stay, and they bring them too. And they're like, oh, I got this place to stay, that means I can bring all these people here. Yeah, it would if you could put them all in a corner and they just stay there and don't bother everything. But if you bring a bunch of people in, slowly they start spreading out. They start going this way and using that and making a mess here and bothering the other tenants. And then you say something to them, oh, I'm paying my rent. It's freaking madness, okay? Like I said, as a manager, affordable housing manager, you've seen these things before. You know how to deal with them. You understand that some people don't grow up in the same way that you do. Some people grew up in like that where there's hundreds of people living in their house, eating their food, touching their stuff. Nobody owns anything. Some people grew up like that, and they think that they'll go somewhere else and they're just going to be like that. Some people think that it's about who's more dominant. They think it's perfectly normal to go to a place to live and try to dominate everybody so that they're scared to tell you something, and then you're master of the house. It's freaking madness. It's crazy. put a stop to it. And I'm gonna teach you how. In another video, I'll teach you how to put stops and stuff like that. But we had some tenants like that too. Yes, I put a stop to it, okay? We had another tenant who unfortunately had a drug problem and ended up passing away, okay? Yeah, it sucks. It's sad, and you try to do everything you can to help somebody so that they're not on the street and they're not doing that, and they have a safe place where they can be. But some people, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't help people. You just gotta try your best. You gotta try your best. That's all we can do. Back to the topic. So I have this rental property. It's rented out. It's producing income. I have a garage in there. Garage is rented out too. Why not? Try to get as much income from that specific property. Properties are income. You can squeeze money out of them. They're income, okay? But you got to take care of them too. We had some issues. Some of the appliances gave out, so I had to pay some money to fix them. But that's business as usual. That's how it is when you have these rental properties, okay? There's no reason why anybody should be an affordable housing manager and not have their own rental properties. Okay? How can you tell these people what to do if you don't have your own property? It goes back to what I was saying before, is that you have to truly believe in this. Okay? This whole thing, this isn't like a regular job. Okay? This isn't like, oh, I'm gonna clock in and this is my job and I do this and then I'll leave. Okay? This is a hard job. And this whole thing, there's a lot of players and there's a lot of people involved. And this whole thing is bigger than you. And it can fall on you if you're not careful. You need to have that edge. You need to have that leg up in order to tell people what to do and in order to survive in this industry. You need to have that leg up, and having your own rental property and being an owner and dealing with these problems with your own tenants and then coming back to work and dealing with the same problems again, that's what's going to give you the leg up. That's what's going to give you the experience, and that's what's going to set you aside from all your other colleagues. And that's what you need to do if you want to survive in this business. So we got this rental property. I won't encourage you to sell because it's consistently giving you income, but I understand that sometimes you have to sell, especially if it's a really good deal. Go for it. But then buy another one. Buy another rental property. Make some profit. You could spend your whole life like that. And why would you not want to? Why would you not want to have this life? Why would you not want to have this amazing life that you built for yourself, where you are pretty much your own boss and you are pretty much managing your own community and everything's running like clockwork, and you can really focus on your own professional development too, and you can plan for the future, and people count on you, people rely on you, and you're making that incredible positive impact in people's lives. Who would not want to do that? Who would not want to positively impact other people's lives? Create the best version of yourself, give that back to the world. And that's what I'm going to do. That's what I've been doing. Planning for the future. Get your savings right. Get your income right. You're setting an example too. You want to set the example. You're doing it for your parents, for your family, for your people, for your last name. That's kind of what this channel is about too. It's doing the right thing and doing what's hard. Doing the right thing even when it's hard. That is the definition of courage. Doing the right thing even when it's hard.